after a long time of entrepreneurship, having an entertainment company and a ticketing company, I ended up with a movie distributor in the Netherlands. And it's really funny that the presentations up until now from Maria and also from Stan, but also from Barbara, actually highlight the situation where we're in currently in the cultural sector. And I was really surprised when I came to Cinemin, which is the distributor in the Benelux, that we as a distributor very much depend on the exhibitors reaching their audience. And I think that's also the reason why we and why I started Ticketing Group. And we were thinking very hard about what would actually be our mission. As I said, we're not a typical tech company, but we actually want to help cultural entrepreneurship and also help for the audience to actually find culture. And if we look at the current challenges in the cultural sector, there's that if you look at cinemas, if you look at movie festivals, if you look at movie theaters, the music industry, they're all very much looking into their own field and looking to their own audience. So one of the things that we said is, does the current infrastructure actually help the cultural industry? And from my side, the answer still is no. Everyone still thinks in the old-fashioned way of their infrastructure. Marketing is not top of mind, especially not in the movie sector and in the museum sector, but slowly it's progressing. But if you look at the infrastructure, it's actually not helping the venues to help what they should be doing. So one of our ambitions was actually to make impact with what we do. And there was a lot of conversations about data, but I think actually gathering data is one thing, but actually also using the data to help the venues is another aspect. So one of the things that we said is instead of looking at individual people, venues, makers in the cultural sector, we can actually help all the individuals within the industry. A good example is that in Holland, and I think it's worldwide, if you're a theater company or a theater organization or an artist, you're actually being booked by the theaters, which means that they're selling your tickets, but you don't have no clue who's actually coming to your venue, who's actually coming to your shows, and you cannot also do any marketing with the data that actually the venues are gathering. If you look at the venues, usually they have like a poor infrastructure when it comes down to ticketing, but especially when it comes to marketing and actually using that data to reach the audience that they want to reach is very difficult for them. But the last one is really interesting, and as Erwin already said, the audience is actually what it's all about. I mean, you've got one culture on one side, but actually everyone's making music, everyone's making a theater show to be seen. And from an audience perspective, it's very difficult and very fragmented if you look at all the platforms that are there. I've heard people mentioning Ticketmaster, Eventum, and all these names. And if you want to look for music, yeah, maybe then you'll go to Ticketmaster or you go to the page of the specific venue. But actually, there is no platform that actually has all the cultural content. And I'll tell you a bit more about that later on. So one of the things that we're trying to achieve is help all the individual groups within the cultural sector. So the makers, the venues, and also the audience. But the last one is also really interesting, is actually the funding. Barbara mentioned it also, Sten mentioned about funding and actually public funding, private funding. And if you then want to measure what the impact of the funding is, it's really difficult to do. So we've been thinking a long time is how can we actually measure the impact that we're achieving? And some things are really simple. If we increase ticket sales within the cultural sector, if we increase employment rates in the cultural sector, if we increase actually profitability, which is sometimes a bit of a dirty word in the cultural industry, then we can actually make impact and also show value with the funding that there is. And there was another interesting topic earlier this afternoon is how can we actually help the cultural sector? Yes, we can help them with understanding technology better, but I think it's also a lot of entrepreneurship that's really lacking in the industry. And I think the combination of both and using the data and reaching the audience together makes that you can make an impact. If we're able to do all these things, then we're actually able to make the giant leap and actually take the next step when it comes down to reaching the audience and the things that we're doing. We've done an extensive research in the Netherlands with regards to people enjoying culture. And we saw that 16% of the people actually don't enjoy culture at all, which really amazed me. And that goes from watching a movie to going to a movie festival or to a film festival, 16%. Then there was another layer of people actually going to the movies twice, 3 times a year. And then we got to the next level, which are actually the people that are already going to different kind of festivals, movies, enjoying culture, and then there was a certain elite. So we're actually saying one of our goals is, as ticketing group, actually to make sure that actually gets a step up in the ladder. So people not enjoying culture, we want to help them to reach that step. And actually also help them to find the right culture that's available. So we've actually worked on 2 different products. We started 2 years ago. We're now live. We have about 20 developers in our team in Amsterdam. We launched 2 different products. One on the right side is Beyond Tickets, which we're actually helping venues with their infrastructure. We currently have clients in the movie industry, in the music industry, movie festivals. And one of the reasons why it's really interesting is that if you look at the venues, they're purely focusing on the audience they already know. So a museum is already very good in probably reaching their own audience. Let me give you an example. We had a movie release in the Netherlands half a year ago, which was a movie about ballet. And what we did is actually we organized it in a theater. And then we had 2 different kind of audiences. The people who love movies and also the people who enjoy ballet. And that was a really eye-opener for the theaters, but also for the organizers, because that was the first time they actually saw people enjoying both. The movie was about ballet, that was really good. So I think making combinations and also gathering different data from different audiences actually helps the venues to reach our audience better. The other one is Cultuurticket. Erwin already said it. We launched Cultuurticket only a few weeks ago in the Netherlands, and we were very ambitious. We wanted to have like 100% of all the events that we have in the Netherlands, and we said, okay, let's approach all the different individual venues. Well, let me say that only in Amsterdam we already have 300 venues, so that was really a big effort. So we said, okay, let's turn it around and start cooperations with the big organizations in the Netherlands, but also internationally. Ticketmaster is a good example. But also the museum organization in the Netherlands. We have a partnership with the National Theatre Kassa. And now we already have 100% of all the movies in the Netherlands. So if you go to cultuurticket.nl, you find all the movies. We have 100% of all the museums, which means that actually we can actually show and help the cultural consumer actually to find what they're looking for. It's also IP-based, which means that if I'm in Amsterdam, I can find the content and what's actually available in Amsterdam. But also, if I want to go to a different city, then I also can see, okay, let's go to Rotterdam. Probably you know about that as well. And I want to see what can I do. So we also curate the content that we have. People are able to create their own profile. And the more a person comes back to our platform, the better we get to know that person. And the better we get to know their interest as well. So one of our ambitions is to still have 100% of the content, but slowly now progressing and connecting all the content that's available. Currently, and I checked this morning, we already have 6,000 events currently on our platform where you can buy tickets for. If they book a ticket, you go probably to booking.com or to Cheap Tickets, which is a platform we have in the Netherlands. So everyone's very much used to using a marketplace to actually buy their tickets. If you look at buying a refrigerator, I mean, there's probably also in Germany big platforms, Amazon maybe, where you can buy and go and buy your refrigerator. But funny is, there is nothing for entertainment. There is no platform that actually combines all the offers that are there. The movies, we have, as I said, we have 100% of all the movies that are available. And what we do is actually the data that we're gathering, we're also giving back to the movie theaters. So we're also helping them to find the right audience. And we do the same thing for museums, we do the same thing for music, but also especially for kids, which is actually a big group of forgotten audience. The last one is the venue pages that we have, and in the future there will also become pages for the makers, actually to make sure that they can present themselves, present what they offer, and also present the movies that they have or the music that they made. And that's it. Everybody wins.